Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at creating some custom colors. We're going to look at creating some patterns and a few other things. So here we are back in Illustrator, and what I'm going to do is show you how to create a custom color. So right now we're working in the CMYK color mode. I can convert to other color modes by clicking the tab and color, and I can work in grayscale, RGB, HSB, CMYK. We've already talked about the fact that if I'm working for web, on-screen, or video, I'm going to work in the RGB mode. If I'm working for print, I'm going to work in the CMYK mode. So right now I have 4 channels: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. I'm going to grab these sliders and slide them all the way over to the left. And as you can see here, when I slide them all over to the left, the shape is white. So usually what I do to mix the colors, I just drag these sliders back and forth until I get the color that I want to create, whatever that color happens to be, right? After I've mixed the color, what I want to do is I want to save that color so I can reuse it. And what I do is I take the little swatch here, let me show you this, and I drag it and drop it into my swatches. And when I save the palette, it'll save all of my custom colors. Let's say I want to make another custom color. Just grab that, drag it, and drop it in. And that's how you create a custom color in Illustrator. Now I can reuse that color anytime I want. I can also make a custom color by going up to the swatches and clicking the tab, choosing new swatch. And then I can mix, you'll see it's almost the exact same slider here. I can mix another color, a new color from right inside of the swatches, and I can either name it by the values or I can type in a name for my custom colors. Okay, and I'll click OK, and there's my custom color. Now I'm going to go back and do that again. And the other thing is that you can create spot colors, but you really have to be careful about that. What you'd want to do instead is load a spot color. Let's look at that. So the idea of a spot color is that most of the time if you're setting up a document to be printed, you're gonna mix the colors on the press. A spot color is when a certain color is called out by a certain value for a specific reason, like a color of a logo or a team jersey or something like that. I can go down and I can open up one of the swatch libraries. There's a bunch of swatch libraries in here. And for instance, let's say that I want to use one of the Pantone libraries. I go to color books and I'll go down to Pantone uncoded CMYK. It's going to bring up that color book, and these are swatches that are precise. So if I need to call out as precise colors, so this would go in the place of either cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, or on top of cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. And I can sort this various ways. I can look at a large thumbnail view, and I can sort by name, and I can view by a list. And then if I decide that I want to use a particular color, when I click on it here, it's automatically loaded. So you have to be careful about using those. You only want to use those unless it's specifically called out. And that's how you mix a custom color. Now the next thing I want to show you is how to create a pattern. So I'm going to delete the shapes on the screen, select them all, hit the delete key, and I'm going to go over and use my rectangular rectangle tool. I'm going to draw a little rectangle, and I'm going to fill the rectangle with red, and I'm going to make the stroke black. And I'm going to set the stroke to 4 points, 4 pixels. There we go. Now, I'm going to copy the shape. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to copy a shape. One is to select the shape, go to Edit, choose Copy, Edit, and then choose Paste. Paste it in the middle of the screen. I'll move it up next to the other shape. Now there's a quicker, easier way to make a shape in Illustrator, and that's to use the Alt key with the black selection tool, the master selection tool. I hold down the Alt key and I just click and drag, and it'll make a copy of the shape. So lots of times that's the best way to copy shapes, is just to hold down the Alt key, click and drag. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the stroke and the fill. I'm going to go over to the swap fill and stroke button here, or X on my keyboard, and flip the color. And I'm going to put it up here. Oops, I didn't want to make it, I'm going to leave it a circle. I'll just arrow key. I can use my arrow keys on my keyboard to arrow key a shape, and I can hold down the shift to arrow key more than a couple of pixels at a time. So what I'm going to do is click away. I'm going to copy the shape again, and I'll hold on the Alt key, click on the shape, and drag and make another copy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and turn it into a pattern. So I'm going to select all the shapes by trap selecting, and I'm going to create a group. I can hit Control G on my keyboard or Object Group. Now it's a group, which means that when I select one, I select them all. If I want to resize all of them, they're all going to be resized because it's a group. I'm going to grab them and drag them into my swatches. And you'll see that it now appears in my swatches. I'm going to deselect the shapes on the screen, and I can paint with that pattern. So I can use any tool I want, draw a shape, and then fill it with that pattern. I can also use the pattern in the stroke. Usually you don't, but I could also use the pattern in the stroke if I wanted to. Usually it's just one or the other. So what we did here is we made a custom color, and then I showed you how to create a pattern. Let's stop here.